Like Paul, I'm a member of South Cambs District Council. So I represent Foxton Ward, which is a rural ward, with four villages that are much smaller than Milton and Waterbeach. But I'm going to be talking now about being a parish councillor more than being a district councillor. So I've only been a parish councillor for 3 years, and I've only been a district councillor for a year and a half. So I still feel as if I'm learning the job, to be honest. But I wanted to share a few ideas. So I've got some slightly haphazard pictures here to illustrate the kind of thing I've been trying to do as a parish councillor that relates to carbon reduction. So the ward and these villages are quite rural. They have moderately good biodiversity, I would say, already. I mean, there's certainly scope to improve that. But when I started thinking about carbon reduction and biodiversity, then I immediately latched onto the idea of active travel and improving the way that we can get around as a big area where we might be able to make some significant gains. And South Cambs have some really good opportunities for funding for active travel, as well as other zero carbon related projects. So as Orla said, then there are the zero carbon grants, which are quite big and have a moderately heavyweight application process. And there are the lighter weight community chest grants, which are rolling on a monthly basis and are much easier to apply for. And in fact, we've managed to make use of both of those in the ward here. So you can probably see that from the pictures that one of the first ideas I had was to try and make these villages more accessible for cycling. And in fact, the villages here are fairly easy to cycle between. It's only sort of 10 minutes or so to get from one village to the next. But there was nothing that sort of made you want to use your bicycle, and there's nothing that sort of was very welcoming about cycling through the villages. So one of the first projects I put forward was to put cycle racks all the way around the village of Foulmere in all the public places. So that was within the parish council. So I did that as a parish councillor within the parish council, and it's relatively easy to find parish council land to do this sort of thing. So in this project, we put bike racks at the village hall, where the land is owned by the parish council, on the green that we call the Butts in the village, where the land is also owned by the parish council. We're still trying to get them up at the church because it's complicated digging holes in churchyards. But we put some at the pub. And I also got some installed at Foxton Village Shop, and so this is something where we can cycle between the villages, but unless you've got somewhere inviting to chain up your bike at the shop at the other end, then you're much less likely to do that. And so I was quite delighted to see that these are actually being used now, and it seems to have been fairly successful. So that was sort of the first big idea I had as a parish council, I did within the parish council. But what I've realised as time's gone by is that actually one of the most powerful things that you can do in a parish council is to form working groups and bring in more people who are interested in these kind of projects. And so I've actually formed 2 working groups in the last few months in Foulmere Parish Council, one of which is a working group for traffic management in the village. Now that obviously slowing down the cars zooming through our villages is something that is generally pretty well accepted, but it does have a carbon reduction benefit in terms of making the village a much nicer place to ride a bicycle or to walk around. And so I saw that as a part of the whole sort of carbon reduction strategy. And what really helps there was to get people outside the parish council involved. So we have a working group for our traffic management, and we've just secured an extension to our 20-mile-per-hour zone from the county council through the parish council, but all the work was done by the working group, and that was shared between parish councillors and other volunteers that were just people in the village who are really interested in this topic. So the other working group that I decided to set up was a sustainable travel working group, and one of the things and that's still quite young, but one of the things we decided to start off with was a project that would be an easy win. We listed lots of things that we wanted to do. So Paul talked about talking about things that you want to do, but we realized quite early that you kind of have to have a quick win that people recognize if as a group we're going to be appreciated and feel that you've actually made a difference. And so the first thing that we identified was the fact that most of the bus stops, we've got several bus stops in the village, but you can't see when the buses are coming. The timetable, if there's a timetable there, it's just a scrap of paper pinned onto the wall. So we put together a project to smarten everything up, to buy some really nice weatherproof signs, and to keep up-to-date timetable information and fare information. Basically, wherever you walk in the village, where you walk past a bus stop, you'll be able to see what's available. And in these villages, then the instinct is to drive everywhere. And so everything we can do to make taking the bus more convenient is I think something that can help more people to travel by bus. So I think and most of that working group, in fact, I'm the only parish councillor on that working group. Everyone else on the working group is made up of people who were really interested in doing something for the village about transport and improving how we get around, but didn't really know how to do it. And so as a parish councillor, then you can just tap people on the shoulder and say, well, we had this discussion the other week about getting more cycling going in the village. Would you like to do something about it? And so it's a sort of a springboard to starting up these working groups. It's also a very useful way of managing funding and fundraising. So as a working group within a parish council, then you can basically get the parish council itself to apply for grants on your behalf, and everything can go through the parish council's bank account as long as expenditure is approved by the parish councillors. So that was the working group. So in the we came up with lots of other ideas beyond improving the bus stops, such as having an e-bike rental scheme run at the pub and things like that. But we're still working on a lot of those. So as well as starting up working groups and running projects yourself as a parish councillor, I wanted to talk about the whole opportunities for liaison, because a lot of these travel related issues are strategic between villages and not just within one parish. And so, in fact, our working groups have already started making contact with the neighbouring parishes. And one example here is the photograph on the right-hand side that you can see is a little section of a bridle way, which forms part of what would ordinarily be a very useful active travel link between 4 villages. It runs east-west from Falmere to Triplow to Whittlesford and then on to Sawston. And there are definitely people who use this route. I see the cycle markings along there. But when it gets rainy in the winter, it looks the way that you can see in the picture. And by working together, we're lobbying the county council to try and improve this very short stretch of cycleway that would then mean that the sort of 4-mile cycle route linking 4 villages would become usable all year round. So I think things like that are much easier to deal with if you have the support of your neighbouring parish councils, as well as just working as an individual or within one parish council. So I thought I'd highlight that opportunity as well. So as a district councillor, and also I think as a parish councillor to some degree, then part of the role is just awareness, and so you get preferential access to information about all of these grants and how they work, and just passing that information on to the right people at the right time can be very useful. So I mean, for example, I was promoting zero carbon grants in the parish council for a long time, and I hope that I was part of the reason why the village hall then later applied for a zero carbon grant to convert all their lighting to LEDs, which reduced their energy consumption significantly. Also, when it came to getting cycle racks in Foxton, then the parish council itself didn't really have the resources to do an application, and they weren't so interested in the project. But it turns out that there's a cycle campaign called the A10 Corridor Cycling Campaign that covers the whole of the A10 cycling corridor, including Foxton Village. So I approached the people in that group and just said, look, there's an opportunity here. The shopkeeper would love to have some bike racks. And as a local campaign group, then you're entitled to apply for the grants to put these in. And they were really enthusiastic, and they went ahead, and we got the bike racks in. So I think that kind of liaison and just passing the right information to the right people at the right time is really useful. So I think that covers pretty much everything I was going to say. Yeah, I can't see anything else on the slide that I've forgotten to mention. So I think I've probably taken up my 10 minutes as well. So thank you for listening.